You get yours, 'cause I got mine. For the monkey time. Do the monkey, yeah. Do the monkey, yeah. A twist on my hips. Let your backbone slip. Move your feet. Get on the beat. Are you ready? Well, you get yours, 'cause I got mine. For the monkey time.
You want to take it, Tom? All right.
Now the dance that the people do, I don't know how it started.
Good morning.
All I know that when the beat brings a feel, it's hard to get parted.
Yeah.
And then the music begins to play.
Good morning. This is live radio.
Good morning, Loy Hardcastle. It is Thursday morning at 7:31
Or so.
or so.
You can see that clock, put that thing over there. You're good. You're good. Yeah, it's great. And you know, it's been raining a little bit this morning. The streets are wet, but blue sky, well, some blue sky out there right now.
Well, and this week it'll rain about 4 o'clock. Kind of like Hawaii.
That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. Hey, I've got to ask you a question. Is this roll of toilet paper over here, does that mean anything? To me, it's
Well, it's not it's a symbol of life, Loy.
Yes.
That is a symbol of life.
well,
That is
and
a,
birthdays is a symbol of life too.
that's about a 2% roll of toilet paper.
I'd say,
You
or
know,
less.
the closer to the end it gets, the faster it goes.
You're exactly right.
That's a symbol of life.
All right, well, I'm gonna
Deep.
write that down.
Deep.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We've got some things tonight. Richard covered some birthdays earlier, just about 2-3 minutes ago. So he covered 2 or 3 of mine, which is good. We both fit in the same book, I guess. But 2 or 3 that he did not cover. And one, you know, we started with a guy last week named Rolls Royce. Well, today, in 1875, a guy named Ferdinand Porsche was born. So we know what he did. He mentioned Alan Ladd. Now, in 1914, Kitty Carlisle was born. Now, do you remember her? I bet you do.
What's
Kitty
my
Carlisle.
line?
That's exactly right. She was a columnist, and she was on the television show, What's My Line? Very good.
A newsman hosted What's My Line.
What was his name? I can't remember.
It's a long time ago, Lord.
I know it. But anyway, okay, here's a guy.
He did the Boulevard watch commercials.
Okay, I do remember that, yeah, and it was all in black and white.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here's a name you probably don't know, but I'll bet you know what he did. Mort Walker was born on this day in 1923. He was a cartoonist for Beetle Bailey.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that was in there for a long time. It probably still is. I think it still is in the
It's
paper
still-
now.
yeah,
Somebody
it's still
obviously,
in
it's
the
either reruns or somebody took it over. But he started Beetle Bailey. Another guy that we all know, but not necessarily personally, born in 1942, Al Jardine, Beach Boys.
That's
Singer in
right.
the Beach Boys, yeah, and of course they're still playing.
Yeah.
You know, they've been around as long as Exotics, actually a little longer, I think.
Not
maybe
to be
a couple
confused
years.
with Al Jarreau.
No, this is Al Jardine, that's right, and has been with the Beach Boys all these years.
Yeah.
And still going strong. Of course, he mentioned Charlie Sheen. A couple things in history. Now, we talked about What's My Line, the television show. Search for Tomorrow. Now, I don't know that I ever watched that thing. That was a soap opera that went on for years. And it debuted on this day in 1951 on CBS. And then here's a show that ran forever, The Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger did its last broadcast on this day in 1954, 2,956 episodes.
So they would have all been in black and white.
Oh, well, yeah, in the 21 years.
Yeah.
21 years, that's a long time.
Oh, that's right. It started on radio.
Yeah, started on radio.
Ended on
Yeah,
TV.
Yeah. Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet was another. You remember that in black and white, of course. That ended on this day in 1966. Now, you know, their son, Ricky Nelson, became a pretty big singing star and was really pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately his life ended way too soon. But anyway, Ozzie and Harriet ended after 14 years on television on this day in 1966. And then we mentioned Kitty Carlisle on What's My Line. That show actually ended its 17-year run on this day in 1967.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing went for a long
That
time.
did go for a long time.
And then I just happened to read this. This was kind of odd. Some hunters in Mississippi caught an alligator that weighed 727 pounds.
I wouldn't want to meet that gator.
Oh my gosh. That, yeah. Anyway, so that's just a few odds and ends that happened on this day. And
That one made a lot of shoes.
oh my gosh, yeah, belts.
Yeah, and purses.
Yeah. Anyway, we want to recognize now football is going on in Williamson County. And I'm not sure, are people attending the games? Are they able to
Yes.
attend?
As many as.
Because we need to make sure that people know they can go. And I'm not sure.
That is true. You have to have a ticket though, and they don't sell tickets at the stadium. You have to buy them online.
No kidding. Wow,
Yeah.
That's a great listen. Make sure people say that again.
If you want to go see a high school football
Yeah.
game, go to the website of the host high school and buy your tickets
gosh.
in advance, and that way you know you've got them. Now, concessions, everything is like the coffee you're drinking right now. Everything is enclosed
Yeah.
or wrapped.
Wow. Well, see, the ticket thing is really amazing to me
Yeah.
because you know people like me, I would have just gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to get online and get a ticket, and then I'd be there and they'd say you can't come in, and I would not be happy. And you know, a lot of people won't be happy with that.
Attendance, I think, is like 25% of capacity. Therefore, a
In other
lot
words,
of,
that's what they're allowed. That's
yeah,
what-
but like,
Yeah.
that changes.
Well, I
Like at
understand.
Centennial High School, the capacity is much higher than at Page High School. So,
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I understand the reason for it. But again, spread the word for those listening. Make sure that if you know somebody that's going to the game, make sure that they have gotten their ticket online.
or just listen to it on the radio.
Absolutely. Well, either way, just get the word out. But at any rate, there's a lot of activity going on around town. New developments being proposed, big developments being proposed. One out on Hillsborough Road at McHatcher, as if we need more cars there. But you know, that's just the way of life around here. And then don't forget, there's a big proposal down on the corner of Buckner Road and Thompson Station Road, and that's the R.C. Alexander
Alexander
property.
Farms.
Yeah, and that is a whopper of a development out there. Now, of course, the state and the federal government is working on an intersection out there at I-65 and Thompson Station Road, which will help some, I suppose, but it'll just help get people in there quicker, I guess, than going out. But at any rate, big things going on around the county, development-wise, and we keep talking about this, which relates to real estate, and that is people moving in here. One of the things in the Herald last week, and I was going to bring it and I forgot, but I can remember it. Nolensville, you know, there's an election that's coming up in Nolensville, and people running for alderman over there. And they had the pictures and the names and a little bio in the paper last week.
I think they've changed to councilman now.
Councilman, well, okay, but you know what I'm saying, they're running for city offices.
Yeah.
All right. And there was only one person out of the entire group that was from Tennessee. Everybody else was from somewhere else. So, my point is, that's okay, but it just gives you an indication of what is going on here. And I think a lot of people that do day-to-day, go to work and so forth, and hopefully you're still working, you know, and you don't see all these things because everybody's got their own things to worry about, concern themselves with, and so forth. And you don't necessarily know all these things going on around you, and they're going on right in our own community as well as our own county. But that's a great example right there. Knowles is a fast-growing community, as we know.
Look out, too much change too quick, and you could
Well-
be in a predicament that Spring Hill is in now. And if Spring Hill had slowed it down some,
Yeah. Well, we still have a lot of controls, as we know, and we hear a lot of complaints about those controls. And I'd say some are justified, but then some need to be in place because we do have to have these checks and balances for things coming in, just like that project there at Hillsborough Road.
Brownland Farms.
That's a big project right there.
so they would be building homes on the big horse farm there?
Yep.
Okay.
Homes, they said some affordable housing would be in there, townhomes, single-family homes, all sorts of stuff. But no matter how you slice it, that just means more people. And of course, they're having a problem with where the traffic light might be, because you know there's a traffic light there at McHatcher. So there'd be another traffic light just a few yards from that, and the way traffic backs up and people turning one way or another, getting stuck in the middle of intersections and so forth, that's a big concern. And right there is a major intersection, and it will be as that McHatcher is
And
complete.
the river that has been known to flood every now and then.
Well, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because you asked about flood insurance last week. But yes, a lot of that farm is obviously in the flood zone, because it's right beside the Harpeth River, and it's flat. So it does flood, we know that. But at any rate, just be aware of what's going on around. Kind of understand the growth. We talk about numbers, and I'll give you some numbers right here. Sales in August, since it's completed now, we know what happened. In August of 2019, we sold, 571 homes. Now, that was a year ago, in the month of August. This year, we sold 612 homes. Now, that's amid the virus. Now, just look at it, that's a 7% increase over last August, and all of this mess is going on. So that shows the strength, number one, and it shows what's going on, and that is people are moving in here. And we have inventory available. You know, we were in 800 numbers a few weeks ago, then we got down to the sevens. As of this morning, we had 685 homes available in Williamson County.
And those aren't the same homes that were available a month ago.
No, that's exactly right. And with 612 sold, you're coming close to a 1 month supply of homes. And that's nothing. I mean, that's horrible, really. So I understand the need for the development, but we've got to really make sure that we as citizens of Franklin are aware of what's going on around us. And I think a lot of times we try to ignore certain things, and then all of a sudden, pow, you go, where'd that come from? And I also encourage people, and I'm out a fair amount, I suppose, but things surprise me. I'll drive down a road and then there's a new development that I didn't know about. And then I'll go in another direction and there's another one. And they're just popping up everywhere. So if you hadn't been out driving around your own county in a while, you need to get out there and look and see what's going on. Take some of these little country roads, you know, Clovercroft Road, any road you want to choose, you will be amazed at what's going on out there. So just beware and be a part of the decision process.
And that new development leads to the T-word track.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But we know what that's like. And of course, McHatcher will be finished within, I'd say, what, 3 or 4 months maybe, or 6 months?
Well, it won't be finished, but the next
Well,
phase.
It'll be open. I'm talking about from Hillsborough over to 96
Yeah.
will be open. And see, that's a 2-lane, and they needed a 4-lane, and so that 2-lane will be outdated when it's open, and they'll have to start planning on widening that thing and spending more money. So it's just a never-ending problem. And yes, you're right. We're going to have it. We're going to have growth, and we're going to have traffic. So just get ready for it. And I'm the world's worst, I guess. You know, I talk about that stuff and don't like the traffic and all that, but it's here. So we have to learn to deal with it, or, you know, as they say, move on. and nobody really wants to leave Franklin.
That's right.
So, you know, what you got. But at any rate, and then...
Now, you want to see traffic,
Yeah, oh yeah. I understand.
try Los Angeles, try Atlanta.
Yeah, oh yeah, no,
So-
we don't want to go there.
No.
Now, a few more numbers here. We talked about the availability, which is 685, which is very, very low. The average sale, and I hesitate to mention this because this is a number that scares a lot of people. In August of 2019, the average house that sold in Williamson County, now this is all of Williamson County, this is not just Franklin. This takes in every sale in Williamson County, all areas. 2019, the average price was $597,853. In August of 2020, the average sale, and again this takes in all of Williamson County, this doesn't exclude anything, the average price was $714,038. That's a 19.5% increase in a year.
Why am I laughing?
Now, you think about that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an incredible number. It's scary.
Yes, it
it's
is.
a scary number. Now, and there's a lot of factors. Obviously, we mentioned a lot of people moving in. The mortgage rates being so low gives people an opportunity to buy, and then it gives them an opportunity to buy more than they would have, say, if the interest rates were 6%. Gives them a whole lot more ability to buy a higher priced property. And so, again, that's an amazing number. I would have never thought, even being in real estate, or even not being in real estate, that we'd have houses with an average of $714,000 here in Williamson County. It's just amazing.
And you will see $800,000.
Sure will.
Average prices.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying, it's a wonderful place to live, but just people just need to be aware of what's going on around you with development. Get to know your councilman, councilwomen. Express your concerns, and it may not do any good, but hopefully it might. So anyway, just keep in mind what's going on around you. Now let's talk about.
If you pay your taxes, express yourself.
Oh yeah, and vote.
Yeah.
You've always got to vote. You asked me a question last week about flood insurance. Well, that is it's a mystery to me. I mean, I know what it is, and everybody knows what it is, but it's interesting that people say, well, what does it cost? Well, you'd think that you'd be able to tell somebody what it costs. You go on the government FEMA line or something like that, and they'll tell you, because I wrote it down, I thought, well, this doesn't make sense. They said the average cost is approximately $700 per year. I'm not sure I've ever seen a flood charge that small.
Yeah.
Now, they did say, and this is funny, in the same line, they said, but it varies wildly. It varies wildly. Well, I can say that's a true statement, because you'll hear somebody say, well, I'm paying some exorbitant amount for flood insurance, and then you'll hear somebody else say, well, I'm not paying but such and such. And it does vary, and it's not supposed to. That's the bottom line. The government sort of sets that standard for flood insurance cost. But it's kind of like a car. You insure your automobile. If you've got a car that costs $10,000, well, it's not going to you're not going to have to be the same to pay the same for insurance as you are if you're buying a car that's costing $70,000. So it's kind of a relative thing. It depends on the value of your property. Of course, the value affects the flood insurance amount. And with a mortgage, if you have a mortgage on the property, do you have to have flood insurance? The answer is yes, absolutely yes. When you go to a closing, one of the charges that you will see on your closing statement is flood certification cost, and generally it's $25. Somebody was paid to make absolutely sure that the property you're buying is not in the flood zone. And if it is in the flood zone, then you're going to have to pay flood insurance, and it will be charged onto your mortgage cost. And again, that charge then is going to be in direct relationship to the price of the house you're buying.
We're both familiar with Battle Avenue.
Oh, sure.
There are two homes on Battle Avenue that just in the last few days have been nice homes. Homes built in the early 50s, early to mid
I
50s.
know the ones you're talking about.
Mr. Mills' home was
Yep.
one of them.
And Mr. Walker's was another one.
And they've recently been demolished. Why were those homes demolished?
Well, my guess is that new homes that are going to be larger are going to be built right there.
No.
Is it the drainage issue?
The city.
'Cause I knew there was a drainage issue behind them.
The city bought those homes.
Okay. There has been a drainage issue behind. In fact, you remember Herbert Bowen, of course. Mr. Bowen lived right along in that way, and behind his house, because I had the privilege of selling that house a few years ago, and learned that there was a really serious drainage issue behind not just that house, but all of those houses down through there.
All the way to Fairground Street.
And that's right. And there was there was a retaining pond back there that I didn't know about, and just drainage issues in general. So that doesn't surprise me that they finally are trying to eliminate that problem, because that whole area in hard rain for years has flooded. Interesting, but it's flooded.
And you see those houses there one day and they're gone the next. And it's all because of that. You called it drainage.
Yeah.
Flooding fits.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something you need to know
Yeah.
before when you're investigating a home site. You
Well,
need to know.
Yeah, when I look up a house for somebody now, in a lot of cases where you and I have been here forever, we sort of know
Yeah.
where the flood issues are. But as a realtor, I still always check the flood map. I'll pull up the tax map of the property that I'm showing, and if I know it's on a hill, I don't. But if I have any doubt about it, I'll
Yeah.
pull up that tax map and then click on the flood zone, and it'll pop up there, and it'll let you know if that house or property is in the flood zone. And that's a FEMA guided issue right there.
A couple of years ago, one of those homes had a for sale sign in front of it, and I checked into it. What do you mean? I can get one of those homes for $200,000?
Right.
And I came real close. In Franklin City Alderman said, "Hold up here, boy. You don't want that."
That was good, but you need to know now, if you are, I mentioned a moment ago, if you do have a mortgage or are getting a mortgage, and you think that the house is not in the flood zone, and then you get to closing and you found out what happened, then that's what happened. The person checking the flood certification, now, you should have known it beforehand, and most times you do, but you can go online yourself and go to FEMA, and it'll click in your zip code, and then you can go to an address, and it'll show you the flood maps. Now, one thing about flood maps, those are generated by way of a computer, okay? You can possibly be out of the flood zone, and yet that map shows that you are in it. And I have proved that that flood map can be wrong. I've had houses before that I would list or sell, and it shows that that property's in the flood zone. And I am disagreeing with it because, again, living here for so long, I'm just saying there's no way that this can come this far or whatever, even though you can be fooled, no question about it. But you can have what's called an elevation survey done, and they don't cost a lot of money. They're probably $200 to maybe $400. And if you have a house now that's in the flood zone and you question that, I would get a flood elevation survey, because you might not be in the flood zone. And I've had some that I proved were not in the flood zone, so they did not require flood insurance. And all you have to do is take that flood elevation survey and show it to the mortgage company or whomever you're dealing with, and you don't have to pay flood insurance. So it's well worth the money.
The Great Flood of 2010 changed the flood zone, didn't it?
It did, but that still doesn't mean that just because a house flooded then that you're in the flood zone. That was such an odd happening.
1,000-year flood.
Yeah, so unusual that more than likely it won't happen again for a long time. And then don't forget, there are two different flood zones. There's a 100-year flood zone, and there's a 500-year flood zone. Now, I'm sure this sounds like Mary Mills. You get your pencil? Are you taking notes out there? Probably not. But just be aware that there are so many variations on flood insurance that you need to be aware of. The 100 requires flood insurance, the 500 does not. So look at those maps and make sure you understand what they say. And if you question it, get a flood, get an elevation survey.
And if you ever have water in the basement, look out.
Yeah, but you know, that's another one of those odd deals. We have a lot of areas around that have what's called wet weather springs.
Yeah.
And as it rains a lot, you might get something like water in your basement, and you don't really have any water that you see, you know, and your gutters are pushing it away and all that kind of stuff, but it's seeping in from underneath maybe your slab in the basement or through the walls because of something like a wet weather spring. And about all you can do about that is move. About all you can do, really. It's hard to stop that water. You can dig out around your foundation. You can try to seal it up from the outside. A lot of people try to seal it up from the inside. That's generally just a temporary fix. I know there are companies around that do that, but you've got to stop it either at the source or you really have to dam it up, so to speak, on the outside and keep it from seeping through. Because if it seeps into those blocks, those concrete blocks, you got moisture and you're going to smell it and you're going to get mold and all that stuff. But again, just beware. But flood insurance is really important. Now, if you pay cash for a house and you don't want flood insurance and you happen to be in a flood zone, that's your choice. You'll just deal with it if it floods. But if you have a mortgage, you definitely have to have flood insurance. And if you don't get it yourself, and you let the mortgage company discover that you need it, and they put it on for you, you'll generally pay 2 to 3 times the price as if you went out and checked. And I would definitely check with multiple companies. I wouldn't just call one. I'd call 2, 3, 4 companies and get a quote. Again, it's supposed to be the same, but it isn't. I can assure you, it just isn't.
For someone out there, Loy, this is the most helpful round-the-clock realtor program we've ever had.
Oh, speaking of Round the Clock Realtor program, we want people to know that we are on YouTube. We filmed this last week and stuck it out there last Friday or Saturday, and so we're doing it again today. And so I think you can go to YouTube and then go to Round the Clock Realtor, or you can put in my name and it'll go to it. But it's kind of under the category of Round the Clock Realtor. So you can go and take a look at Richard over there and Tom over here and me.
Tom's the handsome one.
Yeah, he's one with the tie on today. But we're going to try to just get at my stage in life. We have to compete. I have to compete with young folks because young people don't know me, you know, and a lot of the people that I've dealt with over the years are not going to move anymore for various reasons. Either they can't because they're gone, or they're not going to. You know, they're fixed where they want to be for the rest of their life. So I've got to continue to get out there and reach people that I can reach, and the younger generation certainly loves YouTube and all the things surrounding YouTube. So again, we're just sort of branching out, trying to figure out maybe another approach.
Thanks to Julian Bibb, who's listening right now. Gary Moore was the host of What's My Line.
That's exactly right. Gary Moore, short haircut. And he also, didn't he introduce on his show, because he had the Gary Moore show, Carol Burnett.
Yeah, he sure did.
I think he
discovered
Carol Burnett. Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, interesting. Well, thank you for giving us that
we
information.
have the smartest listeners.
Oh yeah, and nice ones too. Yeah, nice. Anyway, flood insurance is important. Keep us in mind if you're looking on YouTube, and if you see it, subscribe to it, and that way you can get to it quicker. And we'll be playing some exotic music on there. We got to put that in there, you know, to just let people know that we
make people feel better.
Absolutely. Monkey Time will certainly do it. So at any rate, keep in mind if you need information about real estate, if you want to talk about buying or selling, or you want some statistical information, we've just got what you need. Mortgage, we can help you with that, and we can help you through the entire process from start to finish. So keep me in mind if you're thinking about real estate. Give me a call, Loy Hardcastle at Bob Parks Realty, 615-790-8800. 7400, or come to our new location, which is at 106 East Main Street, right behind Landmark Booksellers. We'd love to have you.
News is next from WAKM Franklin, Tennessee, streaming live on WAKMWorldwide.com.
And YouTube.
Huh?
And YouTube.
And YouTube, that's right.